welcome to the SBP podcast, Mobile Filmmaking. You are listening to episode 104, and I'm your host, Susy Botello. You're hearing about a lot more feature films shot with smartphones, and that's because more people are making them. Why? Well, because smartphones are getting so much better. And at the same time, mobile filmmaking itself has been around a long time, which means if you were making short films way back when, and you continued and you got really bitten by the mobile bug, mobile film bug, you have been practicing. And if you haven't had a conversation with me yet, or if you haven't been, following this, and you haven't caught the, you know what, I think it's time for me to make my feature film, then get on it, because the feature film time is now. You know why? Because now you're sharing the red carpet with feature filmmakers that are experienced filmmakers that have been making films traditionally, and they are now waking up to the smartphone revolution, if you want to call it that. All right, now a little bit about this episode. We're bringing you to the UK to meet, if you haven't already, from two previous episodes, which they did individually, Caroline Spence and James Smith. They are Raya Films, basically. They produce films, all kinds of films, but mostly crime, drama, sort of thrillers type films. And two of those films that they produced were shot with smartphones. And you can get a lot of details about those films. You can get them in our podcast in previous episodes. And I'll share some links in the notes to the previous episodes in case you want to hear them individually. But this episode is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to break up the monotony of just serious talk, if you can believe that, about mobile filmmaking. And we're going to talk, yes, we're going to talk about mobile filmmaking, of course, but we're also going to talk about filmmaking in general and events and all sorts of great and fun things that you're going to find out in this episode of our podcast. So listen up, get comfy, and get ready for some fun.
Hey, Susy, it's great to be back on your podcast. Thank you so much for welcoming myself, Caroline Spence, and James Smith here in the UK. Glad to join you.
Yeah, good to be back.
Thank you, guys. Caroline, you're hired. You're the new announcer for the podcast. How are you guys doing? How's everything?
Yeah, everything's cool. We're fine. We're beavering away, doing what we do, which is basically working on films and enjoying some rainy weather in the UK, which unfortunately you guys over there are not experiencing, but we like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even like filming in the rain sometimes, don't we? But it's typical England over here, and we're sort of getting ready to shoot our next feature film, but also promoting our smartphone films. There's the first one was Cyberlante, that one's already out there. But Surveilled is the next one to be released, and we're kind of trying to get it out there, aren't we? Really?
Yeah. Well, Surveilled is now in, or at least it's been submitted to our film festival here in San Diego, and we're really hoping that it gets selected for the film festival, and that you guys can both make it here to San Diego and reap the rewards of the wonderful and beautiful city that is San Diego. Have you guys been here before?
I haven't, but James has been in the vicinity, haven't you?
No, my geography isn't my strong point, but I've been to San Francisco and places like that. But we'd love to come over. I mean, Tom Cruise is just over here for Wimbledon and the football We saw him on TV, so if he can come across on his Learjet, I'm sure we can go to San Diego next.
On our Learjet.
When we get our Learjet.
Yeah, well, hopefully everything is opened up. Both gates.
I hope so.
Yeah, it was hard for us to have the film festival as an online event 2 years in a row. I mean, 1 year, okay, fine, yay, but
it is kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, a lot of stuff obviously has gone online, and in the early days, I kind of thought, well, this is actually quite fun, a different way of doing things. But I think as time goes on, it just gets more and more not real, doesn't it? You just wish for that real experience and the big screen and all that.
Yeah, there's nothing like a physical event, I think. Yeah. I mean, we released Sagalante during the lockdown, and we had an online premiere, and it was fun, but it just, having experienced a real life premiere, packing people into a big auditorium, it just wasn't the same, and we're just hoping that things open up enough and get, the next one being surveilled, get as we say in the UK, bums on seats to actually physically watch the movie on the big screen.
You're a real events person, Susy, aren't you? You can do public speaking and all this kind of thing and organise a whole show. And we've done events in the past, and I think that's one string to our bow that we've actually got, is that we can actually put events together, because so many people kind of make a film and then it sort of gets out there and they put it online or do whatever they do, and they don't really promote it. So I think the event side of things is, a lot of filmmakers just don't realise how much promotion you have to do, and events are a really, really good way to start getting a film out there. And the Smartphone Film Festival that you do over in San Diego is all about promotion, isn't it? It's all about just getting it out there any way you can.
Yeah, and it's also, there's a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into an online event. Because it's so, in an actual in-person event, you can sort of sequester people in the event, hold them there. But online, it's very easy for them to just click away or look away or get distracted with different things that have nothing to do with you, nothing even within the vicinity. And it's just a different thing. The best thing that I like about film festivals, why I believe that film festivals, they talk about the theaters and the cinema, the big screens and all that going away because of streaming. But I think the film festivals will never go away, because what they are is the space where the filmmakers, it's not about having a big screen or anything. It's about filmmakers getting together and watching those films together and sharing that experience with each other and getting to connect with each other. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, everybody we know that has been that goes to festivals, either as a filmmaker or just as an observer, a member of the audience, they just love the buzz about it, and just to be able to meet people and network with people and have a good chat, and it's just, as well as watching some great movies on the big screen. It's just, you can't beat it.
No, it's great fun. I think the other thing is, it doesn't need to be a huge festival. We've been to some of the biggest, but I think you never know what's going to happen and who you're going to meet at any festival. Even if it's a really small one with a few people hanging around, it's surprising how networks grow. If you know 5 people, then another 5 people, and it's almost like that network marketing kind of philosophy, isn't it? That you just got to meet as many people as you can in any way that you can, and then your film and other people's films will the word will spread. But you do it is a lot of work, Susy. We've seen the amount of work you do with that festival of yours, and that's probably why it came on our radars. It was just the amount of noise that you generate came across the Atlantic somehow, and then we hooked onto it and thought, oh, this looks interesting and different. And also you've got a niche with the with the smartphone thing, which has been going a long time, hasn't it? When did you actually start getting involved in this business?
Well, thank you for having me on as a guest.
Yeah.
I'm looking to raise some extra money,
Right.
so I thought, being a podcast interview might.
Well, so I launched that literally right after I came back from filming in Big Bear, and that was at the end of April, when I actually started the film festival, or the beginning of May. Of 2009, so it was like ages ago. Seems like a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's pretty amazing, because we started in the TV documentary business in about 2004, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, thanks for making us feel even older. But I think you just got to keep going. I mean, we were having this conversation last night that some people haven't got much staying power in this business. They make a film and it doesn't get selected for the Oscars, or I don't know, the Mobile Film Festival or Cannes or whatever, and then they start going into a bit of a sulk and don't make another film for 5 years. But really, what you've got to do is you've just got to plough forward, whatever you're doing in this business, and hope something's going to happen. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But there are a lot of people who are a bit too precious. But you've got to look at it as a business, I think, and things will happen, but they're not always in the way that you think they will. Especially if you've got a very rigid plan.
Yeah, you got to kind of make things happen for yourself in a way, I find. Because sit back and wait for wonderful things to drop into your lap and just take you to the next level. It's not really works like that. Certainly not for us anyway.
Yeah,
You've
this
got to work
entire
at it.
entertainment business is like that. I mean, from the creators they're creating their products, their films, to people like us creating, film festivals and podcasts, and it's all the same. It's, it takes work, it takes patience, but most importantly, it takes persistence. So if it's not your thing, then just don't do it. Leave room for others, because there's a lot of people that get into it. I think James and I spoke about that in our podcast. That was episode 91, by the way, to our listeners, that we spoke with James, and episode 90 where we spoke with Caroline. Before, if you want to go back and listen to those, you'll get even more insights than what you're listening to now. But we were discussing that whole, how many people go into this industry because it seems very attractive. But then they realize it's actually a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I always say to people who are potentially becoming involved in what we do, because it's like a mountain, it's like climbing Everest, isn't it, in film terms, especially if you're an indie filmmaker and you've got a very small budget from crowdfunding or whatever, which is often the case with us. It's going to be tough, and we laugh now, Caroline and I, but we often say to cast and crew, you don't have to do this, and even other people, we say that there is a way out. You can go and watch, get a pizza and watch Netflix and take the dog for a walk, and that's fine, and don't worry about it. You don't have to run around a field for 5 days with a smartphone, and then but I exaggerate, but it's great fun as well. And I think once people launch themselves into it, and we talked about the buzz that you get from making films, and then very often people are a bit cautious about getting into it. But if it's in their blood and they really like it, they miss it when they don't do it. So that's a good sign, and you get the buzz. And again, it's like organising events. You kind of miss it when you're not doing it, even if it's hard when you are doing it.
Yeah, and there's a personal reward, right? The accomplishment. Even if you don't make money, the act of getting through it, I mean, there's more to it than just the production part. There's the post-production, but the accomplishment, the wrap party, right? Or I don't know if you guys have that, but that's also really important to everybody. Pat each other on the back and say, look what we accomplished together. And you feel like you've done something and completed something. It can be depressing when you don't when you don't finish a film?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've I was talking of wrap parties. We keep trying to have wrap parties and then failing ourselves to actually attend them, because I think we were finishing Do Something Jake, our debut feature film we were shooting it back in 2015, was it?
Yeah.
And the final day of our shoot was in this big old derelict Victorian primary school, and so it was a really tough day, and we shot everything, and we had arranged to have this wrap party in a pub in town at a certain time, and so we were creeping up closer to this time, and so we finished, big cheers all round, hugs, kisses. It was amazing feeling, actually, that. And then it's like, okay, and then everybody was like, okay, we're going down a pub now to have our party. We'll see you there. And yeah, we'll see you there. And then me and James are clearing up and packing up our equipment, and we were left to do all this. In the end, we couldn't make our own wrap party.
Well, I think the cast and crew that were remaining there, they were trying to say, you got to come and we'll help you clear up and all that. But I just wanted them to go off and
enjoy themselves.
And I also kind of wrapping up the set for me is my way of it sounds a bit sad, actually. Well, my way of winding down, putting the camera lens in its little slot and then walking around sweeping up, after 10 hours of filming or whatever it is, you kind of I have a very methodical...
You don't always have to have the wrap party like immediately after. Usually the ones I've gone to are, we give each other sensible. A break.
Yeah,
we have learned that. I mean,
yeah, it's just I think on this particular shoot it was absolutely freezing cold, and we'd been working long hours, hadn't we? And everyone was just busting to get down the pub and get some drinks. But yeah, I think when you're leading a project, or any kind of thing that you're doing, it's often sounds like it'd be really glamorous to be at the head of it, but very often if you're leading a project, you're not part of the immediate celebrations because you're whisked off you have other responsibilities. I've often heard this from football captains whereby they missed the main party because the press wanted to interview the main person, and it's just one of those things that it isn't always the celebration you think it's going to be. And certainly we've had a number of...
You're the captain of the ship. You're sinking with it.
Yeah, that's right. You got to go with it. Definitely, that's very true in this business. But no, I think we kind of balance the rough stuff with some really fantastic times. I've always said that to people. I say a lot of people look at our fancy website with all the colourful photos of international travel and all that, and us standing on the red carpet, but we don't put the pictures of the bad bits on it.
Yeah, well, that's this business, though. It's like what you see publicly is that's what everybody wants to see, anyways. No one really wants to see the pain, all the dust that is involved.
There is
bruising.
Actually talking about red carpets. I've got this brilliant picture of me on one of our I call it an event. It was like a few people watching Do Something Jake in kind of a village hall type place. We had a screening of the film, and there's this picture of me rolling out the red carpet on my knees and taping it to the floor. Do you remember that? And I had to we had to carry the media board across a rainy street or something and stick it up there, and but there's this picture of me, and I always think it's quite funny because we have this joke where I bet the top directors don't have to do this. And there are certain organisations in Britain that they feed lottery money and subsidy to certain filmmakers who are worthy, but we kind of had this quote by saying, "But that lot don't have to do this," or the directors for. Yeah. But no, that's all part of the fun experience, and you do what you do, and you like you, Susy, you kind of make the event happen in whatever way you can. If that means the director rolling around on the floor taping the red carpet.
I'm laughing because during my own film festivals, it's like hurry up, let's get this done. Give me that duct tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I actually, it's very hard for me to, I don't consider it shameful. You know what I'm saying? I was at an event where they made it very elegant, and they invited me as a guest and to speak, and they had this table setting in front of the stage for me, like I was the Duchess or something, and I was like, it's just me, Susy. And I got there early because I tend to do that. Caroline, you can understand, right? Like I got there like at least 45 minutes early, and
sounds like me.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be late, so I'll just get there super early. And I can't be somewhere. It's why when I work on sets, it's the same thing. It's like I can't just stand there and watch people do all these things. I've got nothing to do. Here, let me help you guys set the table. And they were like, well, here's your setting. And I'm like, okay, great. But yeah, you just you make it happen, and you're not thinking that way. You're thinking about like a production. You're thinking about things getting ready and being prepared for the show.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, getting on this subject, there's some great stories. On the London, we had another screening in London for the same film. And we again, me with the media board, this sort of backdrop to the red carpet, we took it on the Underground train in London, all the way from, where is it, St Pancras in the north, right through to Earl's
right
Court.
Across town.
So by the time we ended up at this swanky hotel, didn't we? With all this paparazzi arriving that Melanie Jones, our PR person, had organised, and all these people. Again, it was like royalty arriving, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And again, I was on the floor trying to put the media board together, and I'd lost a screw to to put the uprights couldn't stand up on their own, and I was panicking, thinking I'm going to have to gaffer tape the media board to the hotel wall or something. Luckily, this brilliant guy from who's the guy that runs the Greenlit Fund?
Peter. Oh my God, I've got amnesia. I can't remember.
Anyway, this brilliant guy called Peter who runs a Greenlit crowdfunding site. Look it up. He's a cool guy. He used to work on film sets or something, and he immediately spotted where the screw was hidden on this thing and basically saved my life. And so the next thing, so we basically erected this thing down below in the basement and carried it up just in time for the paparazzi to arrive.
Celebrities.
All these kind of, they were celebrities as well.
I didn't know who they were.
Well, we didn't, because we're not in the they were kind of Instagram celebrities, new world for us at that time. And all hell kicked off at that point. And but no, it was a great evening. And I think the media board just survived, although I think some of the celebrities did fall into it at one point, and I had to scrabble around trying to re-erect it. But yeah, it's this is great indie film stuff. And I think although you see the big festivals where and they're all lining up and all that kind of thing, it's great, but this is great in a different way, isn't it? And it really is funny at times, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the part with the listeners, you're used to listening and how you make films and all these things, but you don't get to hear this insight into the background of the things that happen, the things that you go through, and the things that but it takes that personality that the filmmakers are. They're very special in that way, where a problem arises or a challenge comes up, and they immediately just turn into these amazing people. It's like let's do whatever we have to do together, and everybody gets involved to make it happen, right?
Yeah, I think you have to be a certain breed, don't you? I mean, in Britain, there's so little money to go around, and the money that is there is tied up by certain organisations and people. I think that's one of the difficulties in Britain that they're trying to address, and we're trying to address and look at as well. But there was one documentary where some filmmaker used to make sort of gangster films. He said, indie filmmakers outside of the system are either hobbyists or lunatics.
Yeah.
So it was something to that effect. And, it's not too far from the truth.
We're definitely on the lunatic side.
Yeah, we're not. it's not like a normal thing to be doing, and I think there are a lot of people that in this country are trying to force it into a very rigid kind of normal, almost like a 9 to 5 system, but it really isn't that. No. And I think,
where's the fun in that?
Yeah, where's the fun in that? We've already done 9 to 5 jobs, and it's that's one way to go mad, isn't it?
Most of the creativity happens after midnight, right?
Oh yeah. I think I think you have to be creative when you're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, don't you? And to be positive, actually, a lot of people would. I mean, we worked with some corporate videos years and years ago when we started out, and I said to one guy, "Oh, do you mind if we come to your factory at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, because it'll be really quiet and we get some great shots?" And he literally went white and almost fell over, thinking that I was going to invade. A, he had to get out of bed, and B, on a Saturday. Whereas, indie filmmakers or people in this business, we're just
normal.
We'll happily film at 3 a.m. if it means that there's quiet and
It's like entrepreneurs.
No one kicking off.
It's like an entrepreneur. It's the same thing. There's just different types of people who are. It's not like they're always on, but they're always willing, right? For the most part, whatever it takes.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Caroline? I mean, here I go in my podcaster interviewer made, but I mean,
who's the interviewer?
Yeah, I'll ask Caroline a question, but let's bring in Caroline here because I've been speaking too much. But yeah, I mean, we look at Twitter and there's a lot of people moaning about getting out of bed and all this kind of thing, and it's not a good place to do that, is it? I think it is hard, but that's part of the fun, isn't it? To actually be doing stuff.
Well, being filmmakers, indie filmmakers, we're as you say, Susy, we're like entrepreneurs. We're self-starters. The motivation has to come from us, from the individual, and that's the only way to get things done. And it's a case of 9 to 5 would be is really not how this industry works. It's for us it's 24/7, to be honest, because we love it. We love what we're doing. Even though it's hard and we get beaten up and there's haters out there, and it's just such an amazing thing to be doing, to be creating something from nothing, and it's just we just love doing it, and we're always going to keep going, and whether we get an Oscar or not, it doesn't matter.
I'm sure there is somebody out there going, "Oh, those poor people having to work, 24/7. Oh my God, let's help them out by giving them something to do in 9 to 5 so they can take breaks after that." It's like, we don't want breaks. Yeah. Are you kidding me? We can't help that. We can't help being up at 3 and 4 in the morning and saying, "Well, I'm up. Might as well get to it."
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one guy, I forget his name now. He's one of these ex-army guys in America, and he's on Instagram, a guy called Jocko someone, and he has a picture on Instagram every day of his watch when he gets up, and each day it says 4:30 a.m. And then the next picture you'll see is him at the gym, and then the next picture, the same day, and all of the things that he does. And he's kind of one of these motivational speakers, and there are a few people like this on the internet who you can follow, who you think, blimey, these people really are out there, and they are, and they're achieving great things. It's absolutely amazing, but they're also leading. They're good. They're kind of leading the way, and I think if you need people to do things in order to inspire others, and with your event, the Mobile Filmmaking Festival, a lot of people will be watching that you don't know. We call them lurkers, don't we?
People are lurking and watching what you're doing.
And cool. some of them love you, and some of them probably hate you. But I think you'll drag along this following, even though you don't know they're there. So that's why it's important to keep going, because when you do an event or something comes to fruition, or you win an award or something, and they'll all be going, "Oh, blimey, that's those people that did that," But that'll only happen if you keep going. If you give up, then nothing will happen.
It's not in our blood to give up, though.
It's not. It's not. People say to me, "Oh, well, I hope you had a nice restful weekend, or I hope you have a vacation." And I'm like, weekends and vacations, I don't know. No, I don't think so.
It's actually my most creative time is during the weekends and things, because that's when the regular business leaves me alone to do my own thing. You know, I don't have to schedule that call to, you know, that office that is open 9 to 5, you know, and that's when, you know, we can do our thing. When you're working, when you guys, you know, you guys have been working on films together, you said since 2004. How the heck do you do that? Like, and still get along making all these films together?
Well, it wasn't so much films, really. We started off, I don't know, we transitioned from our previous jobs, which were in the computer business and administration, accounting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, office jobs.
Sounds boring.
It was horrible. Yeah, 20 odd years sitting looking at the clock or waiting for it to go.
Yeah, it puts boring on another level. But I think we were looking. You know, we were using all of our money in our boring jobs, like a lot of people do. Very valid thing to do. Just burning it on getting away and going on holiday and traveling around. You know, doing new things. And on one of these particular holidays or breaks away, we were with a film crew, a television film crew, who were going around making this property program. So anyway, to cut a long story short, we thought, oh, we can do that. So we started dabbling in TV production, video production, and then at that point the video revolution happened, where these small cameras, like the Sony range of cameras, I think it was PD 150. You could buy it for $1,000 or something, $2,000, and we started making what we thought would be films for our new career, which were television documentaries and corporate videos, music videos, and things like that. But as time went on, we kind of got jaded with that, because it wasn't really creative and artistic in the way that we wanted it to be. It wasn't the dream we thought it was by any means. So Caroline had always written, screen type screenplays, really, weren't they? So that's where it took off in terms of making films. So we haven't been making feature films that long, have we?
No, I mean, we've been writing fiction in the form of screenplays since 2009, actually, when you started your mobile revolution.
It's my mobile revolution now.
It's your revolution.
Of course it is.
And so we made a short film called Keep Up If You Can, and then we started, writing screenplays, and that's when I absolutely thought, this is definitely, I found what I've really, really love to do. And
maybe that's why
we tried to.
Maybe that's why, because that's the thing. It's like what I'm alluding to, that you are back to back making films one after the other. We don't want to talk about breaks, taking breaks, but to have all these projects going. You know, you've always got the campaigns going. You've got the projects going. You have a pretty good bunch of people sort of, working with you with marketing and things like that. And you have your crew, you have an entourage of sorts, right?
Yeah, I think what's happened is we've created a little fan base, really, and I think the reason for that is that we're more accessible than most sort of film businesses, really, in this country, certainly in Britain, but also further afield. We kind of respond, if I send an email to Lionsgate or Hanway Films in London or someone like that, I probably wouldn't get a reply, but we kind of try and engage with people on email and on Twitter and things like that, whereas a lot of the bigger companies are unable to do that. But having said that, these bigger companies are vulnerable, really, now, because the landscape's completely changed, and they need to respond to that audience, that online audience. So although a lot of them are putting a brave face on making these big films, and we think they're doing well, half the time they're losing a huge amount of money, where the indies and people like us, so we're still ticking along in the background, weighing up what's going on. And able to change rapidly.
Yeah, we've built. I mean, by doing this, we have hooked up with some really cool people that we've worked with, on our productions, and some have come along, on, use them again and again, in terms of crews or actors, and to be able to find these cool people is, well, it does help us. Obviously, it's a collaboration, isn't it? You can't make a film without having a little village of people to help, towards the end goal, which is making a cool movie and having a big screening.
Yeah, I think if people
maybe making money.
Definitely, yeah. I mean,
you never know, that might happen.
If people actually, hopefully, if people actually not react, but if they engage, I think is a word that they use on the internet or in any way, then that's a big deal these days, because there's so much noise out there, so much going on, that if you don't engage, or you don't put the effort in to try and collaborate and communicate with people, and also look at their projects as well as your own, which I don't always do, but sometimes I'm kind, depending on who, if you don't put that effort in, then you can't expect people to really be, interested in what you're doing. So that's where we are, I think. So it's like festival marketing, I guess, isn't it? Whereby it's just all about trying to throw the net out there and capture as many people as you can against the competition.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that as you're building your people, your own community, right? You have someone to throw it out to when it's complete, and as opposed to just having yourselves and then you're done and you're like, okay, it's all just on us now to share this with the world, where it's like the 6-degree rule or whatever, where the more that people are sharing it, the more that people are involved, the more the conversation and the chatter is happening. I mean, the people refer to the online community as like, it's all fake because it's digital or in some sort, like it's not real. It's like, no, those are real people behind each one of those profiles, interacting with each other. And most people, in this business are online are fairly, like in LA, right? Everybody's a producer, but no one's done anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And but online, it's very hard for them to get away with that, because it's very easy for people to see what you've done and what you haven't done online if you are online. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody who is somebody has a lot of things. I mean, I know a number of producers that are very accomplished, but they're not online. You know what I'm saying? They're not out there with their face up front. But the ones that are there, it's very easy to go back and look at what they've done, what they haven't done. And if they tweet something today, they say, hey, I just did this, and then you look back and you go, from where? Where did you, you just pull that up from under your pillow or what, because you can see the progress.
Yeah, that's right. I think the other thing is, once you do something, it kind of doesn't go away either. So whatever you do, make sure it's at least reasonable, or, I think that's the problem with the internet in some ways, is that if you make a real horrendous duffer of a film, then you're kind of stigmatized if you're not careful, aren't you? You better go and change your online name or something.
Yeah, I mean, we when we work with people or people, so sales agents approach us or producers approach us or whoever, I think, right, because we've been stung in the past with people who've turned out to be rogues, so we always do our due diligence, which means going on the internet, checking out IMDb, looking at their social media, news reports, whatever, to see if they're real people, if they're, if there's anything, if they've got literally any lawsuits against them, or, if they're, are they trustworthy?
Right.
Can, as much as anybody who is a complete stranger trustworthy. So, it's if you get approached by somebody, you go online and try and do this due diligence, and you can't see anything about them online, it's like, well, they're not a real person, and they haven't done anything. We can't.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do hear these stories of people who say, "Wow, I've got $1 million to make my film. It's amazing." We're going into production, and then roll it on a couple of years, you find out that was laundered drug money that they made their film.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the accountants work that one out, but yeah, if you've made this really great film, but it's all based on crime, then I don't know. You just got to be so careful. And a lot of people. One of the biggest things that happens to me is that you tend to get a lot of people on the internet saying, "Oh, I've got a friend, and yeah, he's in LA and he's made this big movie, and he's going to contact you, and it's going to be great, and they're going to give you some money and invest in you and all this kind of thing." You find out, roll it on a few weeks and you don't hear anything, and then the person in the middle is often surprised. They say, "Oh, but I really believe this person. He seemed genuine." And I think what happens is that people who don't really know the industry and unaware of the sharks out there, are often surprised that these people are not genuine yet, they don't even exist sometimes, and you just got to be very vigilant, and not so much cynical, but you've got to just vigilant and make sure that
have your wits about you
and be aware that you've got to protect yourself to some extent, because if someone gives you the money, this is always a problem. I'm saying one of the advantages of indie film is that, if through crowdfunding and zero budget type films, is that it's not a bad idea to start from the beginning or from nothing, because if someone gives you £100,000 or dollars or more, you've got to, the seriousness of the project goes up. The lawyers need to get involved. Where's that money come from? What are the tax implications? Mm-hmm. Is it legal to even be employing people with this money? So you can sort of slim down all of those problems when you're starting out by saying, okay, we've got very little or no money, and let's give it a go. And that's what we did at the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's this is good for our listeners to know, but there are some people out there that will claim to be established producers that can do things, and I've personally heard from some people that I know that have been victims of scams with this, because they've had everything stolen from under them, basically, at some point, where they're trying to make a film and someone makes an offer and they believe this, and it ends up usually in the media, but it's not really in the public, you know what I mean, like mainstream media. It's just sort of like, oh, in this little story here, some producer scammed a poor filmmaker trying to make a movie, over promising something and then stealing everything from under them.
Yeah, it can happen a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff going out there. And also, I mean, this is alluding to our next film. He says plugging his next film, Casting Kill, whereby...
what a great segue.
Yeah, God, I'm so good at this.
That's why I'm paying you the big bucks.
yeah, send that check through. But it's like our next film kind of alludes to that subject, whereby it's based on a Hollywood mogul. He's actually a bogus casting director, really, isn't he? And he extorts money from actors and also manipulates them in other ways. I won't give too much away, but essentially there are people who will exploit the thirst for people in the business to, actors and crews and producers, to get into the businesses, that hunger, that thirst, and they will exploit that. So I guess really it's like the art of not looking desperate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
vulnerability.
If you need money,
a lot of people, they come into it, they've got the dream, and they have that picture of, for example, in LA, Hollywood is not it's not where the glamour is. That's Beverly Hills. but a lot of people hear Hollywood, and I forgot who I was talking to the other. I'm talking to people all the time from different parts of the world, and I said this to them, and they were like, "Really? Really? I always thought Hollywood." I said, "No, Hollywood is not the best part of town. Technically, I mean, it's just not. No." And so they were really surprised.
Yeah, no, I haven't been to. James has been to LA. I haven't been. I've only been to one. I've only been to New York and New Jersey, and I haven't been to the West Coast at all. So that's got to change. For sure. But I know people that have been to, visited Hollywood, and they always come back saying, "Oh, it's not what we thought. It's a really grubby place."
Yeah, it's like anywhere you go, isn't it? When it's funny when you're traveling anywhere. You have a romanticised idea of what these places are like. Like for example, we're in London and wandering around. I think is very nice, and people say, "Oh, isn't London beautiful? Fantastic! It's so nice. I love it."
You're thinking of Peter Pan or something, right?
Yeah, everything's wonderful. We got Tower Bridge, and we could say we can take you half a mile down the road, show you some not so nice places.
Oh my gosh,
quite easily.
Yeah.
It's just like
San Diego.
Really.
Same thing.
Yeah, well, I think. London has become very smart recently in certain areas, but if you roll it back when I was a kid, I used to go on the train to London very regularly when I was small, and it was a different place back then.
But I shouldn't really say that.
Cleaned it up a lot.
I shouldn't really say that about San Diego, because San Diego has some treasures that so in tourism you hear about the Hotel Del, and you hear about Old Town, and you hear about, SeaWorld and all these places. But then there is so much more than that. Right. That's off the beaten track, basically.
Yeah. And these pictures aren't on your website, are they? You've got the pretty ones.
Yeah. But that's where you find really incredible things, like really cool locations where you're going, hey, I could film something here with a mobile phone. No one's going to care. Even with a traditional camera, there's a lot of guerrilla filmmaking. Do you guys do guerrilla filmmaking when you were making Surveilled? Getting back on that.
Yeah.
Did you do any, because there were so many cool locations in that film?
Yeah, it was kind of worked out that some locations were set up, weren't they? Mm-hmm. People set. They were all real locations. They were no studios or anything. Yeah. But they were either people's houses or pubs that were. Well, we kind of got these people out of bed one morning to film in their pub, didn't we? they literally were in bed, I think. But and some of it was kind of a bit like Cyberlanta and Do Something Jake. Some of it was just walk out into the street, have a look around, and see if we could get something, wasn't it? I think there was a bit of that in the rain, wasn't it? That shot where
that was a fantastic. That was an interesting shot, and the scene with two characters having a conversation somewhere private in a park, and all of a sudden we had this like wild weather come through.
Yeah.
And they had these umbrellas, and then there were these fields beyond. And there were this one cow kept jumping around and having a bit of a dance on. We were filming. We're thinking, well, that's really cool, but it's not. It's going to be distracting.
It's not. It's not working into the story, was it? The cow in question was actually looking towards us.
Dancing cow.
I've got it.
The dancing cow.
A dancing cow in the background. I mean, I've had some things when I shoot, funny things happening, but basically there was a rainstorm. The brollies, the umbrellas inverted. Yeah, it's a brolly English term, is it? Yeah. But the umbrellas inverted in the gale force wind, and the rain came down, and then we had a dancing cow in the background. And
so you could say that was guerrilla filmmaking. That is like crazy.
Yeah, but actually, it's one of the scenes I really like in the film, and that just goes to show, isn't it? And I at that point you get, I was glad I was filming on a small camera like a phone at that point, because there's less to damage and less to get wet. If you've got big expensive lenses and all that, you could have an issue with the insurance company. But I think no matter what equipment you had there, a Hollywood setup wouldn't help. You know, if you had to film it and you didn't have any more time, then you would have to deal with the wind and the rain. And that's filmmaking at any level.
One of the things that I liked about the movie too was the establishing shots that you guys had throughout, which I don't find in a lot of the smaller the mobile films. And yeah, the establishing shots were like, you were just talking about the rain, and it was just reminding me of that. Like there was a scene that you went from one scene into the mansion, and it was raining, and you had this establishing shot of some flowers and things like that, you know, with the mansion in the background and those in the forefront in the rain. And it was a beautiful shot, you know, and it just sort of established, you know, where you were going from that point forward instead of just going there, you know, right off the bat. And you did that throughout the film a number of times, and I thought that was, you know, adding a lot of production value to your film.
Oh, that's cool, because you know, it's all about linking scenes and, you know, making them flow rather than, you know, jarring, I guess, in the edit. So it's just something. Well, James is the cinematographer and camera operator, so it's just something, you know, I always like to write the transitions in, but then when you're out in the, you know, on location, James will often see a shot and then just take it, and then it slots in nicely into the edit.
Yeah, so it's credit to James for, you know, I mean, you may have captured that while other things were going on. It's like, oh, look at this. This might make a good little, you know, it's almost like capturing B-roll, right, from your corporate days.
Right.
Yeah, there's I think luckily when you are doing an indie film like this, you have got the luxury of sometimes changing the schedule and saying, oh, the clouds have come over, or there's a good shot here, and you just go out and get it. I mean, I do tend to include certain kinds of establishing shots in our work, and reason for that is I think it just gives an impression of where you are, and it calms things down sometimes, because a lot of people are so intent in telling the story sometimes that they forget that this is a visual experience that you're giving people. And I think the lack of that kind of imagery in films now, it might be related a little bit to the speed at which we consume material, and also the TV kind of culture, whereby they tend to go in close and do a lot of quick editing between characters and then get out of the episode and then go on to the next one. Whereas feature film for me is not about that, so that's a different experience, if you like. So yeah, I like that aspect of it. I'm glad you liked it too.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's good cinematography, actually.
Great.
So,
excellent.
So
yeah. Fantastic. On a phone.
Yeah. Well, and actually the fact that you have the phone can make some of those shots really cool, because of the places that you can go where traditional cameras can't. Definitely. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's why I say, you know, if you've got a big heavy camera and then you need a couple of guys, a camera operator and a DOP, it's very difficult. You need a lot more time, and by the time you've set it all up, your nice clouds have gone, and the mad cow in the field has run off, and you've missed it. So.
Well, you can have like a cafe scene, right? And this is where this is going to sound really random, you guys, but you know, you could have a rain scene at a cafe. You know, that the tables outside, somebody was having, you know, their coffee out there, and you could literally put the phone right up to the coffee cup, and the coffee is getting, you know, the raindrops inside the coffee, and it doesn't take all day to set that up. You know, it's like, hey, that would be a cool little transition shot, you know, right before showing them inside or whatever inside the cafe. Why would they be inside? You know, that kind of thing. And you don't have to show any more rain. You can get that one day, and then you go inside, and people imagine that it's raining around the coffee shop.
Yeah, that's it. There's so many ways you can experiment with phones. I'm surprised that more people aren't putting larger films together rather than just, you know, their selfies or, you know, YouTube videos and things like that. That they're not actually making more narrative kind of films that are stitched together. It's because you don't necessarily need to make a film that's got a really specialized lighting and stylized lighting or anything like that. But you know, when you think of just about a narrative film, you could do. I was thinking about this coming back on the train, wasn't I, Caroline, from London, whereby even if you just get your phone out of your pocket and have no kind of gizmos attached to it, you could actually get the audio. If the phone's close enough to you, the audio will be okay.
Yeah.
You could start filming some kind of narrative spooky on the train film, whereby it's all based on the suspense of the narrative, and someone's walking down the aisle, and you know, I'm surprised more kids aren't doing that. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's I think to have the phone in your pocket, to see an opportunity, it kind of unleashes the creativity of any filmmaker. I would have, you know, just you describing the raindrops in the coffee. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, that's just a creative, you know, spark of inspiration that anybody can do and achieve. So it certainly is an opening up a lot more doors and opportunities, you know, in the filmmaking world by using the mobile technology.
What do you guys think about, you know, I'm sure you've heard the chatter around about more feature films being made now, because you know, like I'm thinking it's more people that are established filmmakers, meaning established because they've been making more films, right? And they're used to making films, and maybe they're making shorts, you know, with traditional cameras, and they've always wanted to make a feature. And they thought, well, maybe I'll just make my feature with a phone. Or maybe they've been making features with phones and thought, you know, the technology is so great, let me just give it a shot, you know. And, you know, there are so many short films now. But what do you guys think about the popularity of more feature films?
Well, I think, it's not. I don't think it's a problem. I mean, I think ages ago I heard an interview with.
I'm excited about
Ridley.
it.
Ridley Scott was saying, you know, maybe there are too many films. I think he was going along that lines. I don't want to misquote him, but I think he was concerned that maybe the quality wouldn't be there or something like that. But in my opinion, I think it's. Are we worried that there's too much music out there?
Right.
You know, too many music albums out there? And I think I'm going down that road. I mean, there are some pretty cynical people in the press and in the film festival, journalists, those kinds of people who are saying, "Oh, maybe this is just like the e-books of the film world now. You know, that a lot of it's just rubbish and that kind of thing." But they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. Also, they're not filmmakers, and they don't realise that, you know, you can have as much music as you like out there, and there are so many different genres. And now this is what's happening to film. You know, this is a new landscape now where anyone can make a film. There's a lot of stuff out there, all different varying levels. Let's face it. You know, some of it's, but you can never really be too judgmental about it, because what some people think is rubbish, other people absolutely love, you know. And I think the main thing is that, people understand that they can, if they really want to put themselves through making a feature film, which is a big undertaking as opposed to a short film, then they can do it, and give it a go.
Well, you've got the camera in your pocket, as you know, haven't you? So, you know, I think feature film making with smartphone technology is more and more, you know, people are talking about it. It's becoming more and more acceptable, and a lot of the time the general public wouldn't know that you know, a film was shot on a phone. I remember I watched Unsane with my mum, and we were watching it, and I said, "Did you know, Mum, that this was shot on a phone like this?" And Mum was old school; she didn't know anything about technology at all. So I had to show her the phone. You know, they shot this film on this what I've got here. She said she had no idea. She wouldn't have known. She was just looking at the story and following the narrative, and that was it. And so, I think it's exciting. I think it's a brave new world out there.
There is this, I've heard this said before, there is this argument that pretty much only DPs and technical people really know or suspect what a film might be shot on. So years and years ago, there was this film called Open Water, which was shot on one of those little video cameras I was talking about earlier, Sony thing, I think. And that went out. It did very well. It went out in theatres, and people were coming out saying, they were saying, "Did you know that this was shot on a little camera? It wasn't a film camera, you know." And they said they would have no idea, and they wouldn't care anyway. So there's a sort of distance or a gap between what the audience perceive and what the filmmakers do, and it's closing. I think.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I get excited is because the phone is the connection between the filmmaker and the audience and the story in between. You know, it's like a tripod. You know, you've got those things are each one of them are sustaining the dream, right? That everyone can make a movie, and it's not so much like, oh, just anybody can just pick up a phone and a movie's going to come out of that. You know, it's not like you're giving birth to, to movies. But it's really interesting because, in our film festival, the people that are sitting in the audience, I love to point this out to them. You're about to watch films, and you're going to watch movies, and you go to other film festivals and you watch movies. But just know one thing. You don't have an RE in the trunk of your car. But you have a smartphone in your pocket right now, or in your purse, or whatever. And so just know that all these movies that you're about to watch are made with a camera, which you too, if you wanted to, can make a movie and have it shown right here and all over the world. And everyone has a story, and so that's where I get excited. I know normally the audience doesn't care, but I like to emphasize it because I think it inspires people, and you never know who's in the audience, because it's happened to me, with one of the filmmakers whose daughter was in the audience, and he was up doing the Q&A, and I said, something about children, and his daughter was sitting behind me. I was asking the questions as I was sitting in the audience, and I turned to her and I said, hey, maybe next year you can be here doing what your dad is doing, making a movie with your phone. And I think she was like 10 years old or something. And she did it next year.
Oh, wow.
It was a stop motion little film, and it had a message about bullying.
Wow.
Right.
That sounds so cool.
And she was there in the festival the next year because the dad made another film. And they were both together on the red carpet. They were both together, sitting together with the Q&A session. And that's a memorable experience that they'll have forever.
Yeah, that's great.
That's fantastic.
No, there's so many stories that can come out of this. But as I say, it's a new world, and I think there's no amount to the number of films. There's no restriction on the number of films that can be made, feature films, shorts, whatever. And if anyone's got any worries about any of this kind of thing, they just need to, as I keep going back to the music business, years ago was in terrible trouble because of the transition to digital, and a lot of people were up in arms about copyright issues and all that. But if you look at what's happened now with Spotify and YouTube Music and all that kind of thing, it's just exploding, and it's sort of reinvigorated the whole industry and made it more. I don't know. It's a different industry. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But with filmmaking and now smartphone filmmaking, a lot more material is out there, and just basically people will find it, like they do in music. If you're into country music or blues or rap or jazz, whatever, it's out there. You just need to, the way that you can search for things now is more powerful. So there's just endless, there's no limit, and it doesn't diminish the value of the material, because there will be all sorts of different kinds of stuff out there, but the way it's perceived just depends on the audience. We go to a film festival, Horror on Sea, don't we? We're going to one in January, and it's a very specific kind of genre, and the guy that runs the festival, Paul Cockgrove, he's very open-minded about it, and the kind of material. But there's almost like a fanatical interest in it, and this kind of horror genre that he's kind of involved with, and other festivals like that as well popping up, and yours as well now. So I think it's great, and as you say, exciting.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited. I'm trying to keep myself in check here.
You're just exploding, aren't you?
You're quietly exploding.
San Diego.
My hands are like,
Yeah, cool.
Well, I thank you guys a lot for submitting your film to our film festival. We just got another film submitted today, so we're up to 2 films. We got another one waiting to be finished. And so we're only gonna select 3. Oh God.
Yeah.
But
even if your judges don't pick us, we're just honoured to support the festival, and it's just it's a great event. It looks like a great event, and we're gonna endeavour to be there whether our film is accepted or not.
We'll come over.
Well, look. Being a part of this film festival, one day it'll be like I was a part of that festival, because I'm never giving up on this.
No, same here. We're never giving up.
Right.
You're never giving up. So we're here. We're all here to stay.
We're here for the long run.
Share a little bit before you. We're getting to the end of this, but I wanted you to share a little bit about casting call is not shot with a phone, but it's still a film.
And we don't have an arrow.
No, you don't.
Or do we?
Do you? In the trunk of your car? I don't know what you have in the trunk of your car when you're killing people for casting sessions.
That's right. Yeah.
But share a little bit about that, where your progress is with that, or how can people connect with that film?
Right. Well, we are deep into pre-production. We're searching for our perfect location, which is going to be in London. We're still raising funds through our crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo. So it's the film is called Casting Kill, and we're casting is nearly completed. We've still got a
You're
little
not
bit
killing.
of casting to
People
finish.
are asking to be
the
cast.
ones we haven't killed off. But it's looking like it's going to be there seems to be a lot of people interested in it, and it's going to be it's not your average. It is a horror in the horror genre, but it's not your average horror movie. Well, it's not a slasher. It's got a more of a classic Hitchcockian feel to it.
Oh, nice.
We're very excited about it.
Well, that's kind of like what you're into. Your films are more in the crime mystery, type films. Do you guys have another film up your sleeve after Casting Kill?
Yeah, there's another film called The Thinker, which and this one is set in Spain, actually, and it's kind of like a supernatural mystery, is it?
Yeah.
It's a nice one. It's got a very small cast, two lead characters, and I'm really excited about that one because, again, it's going to be using a lot of handheld techniques. I mean, we have no idea what we're going to shoot, what format we're going to shoot that one on at the moment, but we think that it'll be a nice one because, unlike some of our other films where we've had lots of different locations and lots of cast to deal with, this is more like it's almost like a documentary style film, which I've always liked, actually. I've always liked that style. So, it's kind of it eases the pressure when you haven't got so many locations and so much cast, and you've just got a few people doing a good job and really into the story and the characters. So,
all those people have smartphones that can help you with the filming.
Yes, this is right.
Gather a team around us.
we're not going to get away from smartphones anytime soon.
No, with
right?
me, I'm like the smartphone pusher.
Yeah, we got it. I think, yeah, and that's as I say, it's just like, I think if you Google smartphone filmmaking, or you seem to be hanging off everything. It's just like if some poor person in some outskirts of some place wants to make in Russia, or someone wants to do a little festival, then they've got 2 followers, and they say that the Russia Moscow Smartphone Film Festival, or something like that. There is one, isn't there? Yeah.
And actually, there's a connection.
I'm not talking about.
I have a connection with that. That's Maxime Muscle. Yes, he won 3rd place in a little documentary style travel video that he made in Lisbon. And it was in 2014, and he was really inspired by his experience, and so he went out. And he made the smart. It's the only one.
Right. Well, how did we come down this road? And why did I mention Russia and all this? But anyway, sorry guys. But anyway, I was thinking of a place that's never had a smartphone film festival before, and then one person with 2 followers pops up and saying this new smartphone film festival is here, and blah blah blah, and then suddenly you see, oh look, Susy Botello is retweeting it, and Susy Botello connected it. It's like you seem to be able to sniff out anything to do with this. So, which is good, That's
that's funny.
It is. It's pretty cool as well.
But it's just funny that you mentioned Russia, and I'm like, oh well.
Yeah, you were straight in there, weren't you? That's right.
It's a window of opportunity.
I went down a little road there. You were ahead of the game, weren't you? Let's face it.
It's been so much fun. I really hope our listeners enjoyed this as much as you both and myself did.
Brilliant.
I think that there's one thing they're going to get out of it. They're going to get all the insights into things that no one else really talks about. So if you want the scoop, you got it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have a lawsuit, are we, Caroline, after this? I think we said.
I think we were very PC.
I don't think it needs editing.
Might want to call Peter or Pete. and make sure that he's okay with you mentioning he found his screw. But no, it was.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, it was great having you guys on. And this is the 3rd time, and I'm sure we'll do it again. Because at some point I'm gonna talk you into making another film with a smartphone, whether you like it or not.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, we'll relent to pressure.
Yeah. No, it's I don't think our smartphone filmmaking days are over by any stretch of the imagination. So you can rest assured there, Susy.
What would you like to tell our listeners other than just go out there and do it? But what would be the biggest tip? One from each of you, and then we'll let it end. One tip from each one of you, something either to do, make sure they do, or make sure they don't do when it comes to filmmaking.
Make sure you have a solid screenplay. That's my tip. Because, it's all about the storytelling. And, have a solid screenplay to work from.
And what not to do.
And what not to do. Don't have a solid screenplay to work from.
What about you, James?
What not to do, don't give up. Just keep going.
Yeah, don't give up.
That's
a done deal.
That's a done deal.
What advice I'd give them is, so many things, but I would say you need to really want to do this more than it has to almost ache that you've got to do it. It's not like, I always say to people, it's not like you could do it or you would like to do it. It's you must do it. Something's telling you that you must do it. And if you don't have that, then it's going to be very difficult. And the things not to do, don't listen to other people too much because you never know. I don't mean that in a don't listen to negative people is what I'm getting at. There's always going to be someone that says you're not going to do this or you shouldn't be doing it and all that. Even coming from the top, people are saying, oh, you really shouldn't be making a film unless you've got a proper business model and all of that kind of stuff. But those people often are not filmmakers, and they don't know what you have, the depths and difficulties that you have to go through and experience in order to do something original and creative. So that's where I am.
Well, we're a bunch of lunatics, so it's not like anybody can understand us, right?
No.
Yeah, we're proud lunatics. Yeah.
There's a movie title right there.
Yeah, let's do that on the phone.
Well, listeners, you can always follow. What is it? Raya or Raya?
Raya.
Films. Go to their website and then follow Caroline and James. We'll put all the links for them on the notes. And hey, wish these guys luck on all their films, and who knows, maybe their film will be selected for the film festival in San Diego, even if they don't want it to be.
No, we do. We're keeping everything crossed.
Yeah. Everything crossed.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thanks, Susie.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.